Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cristobal Jr., student physical therapist assistant. Today, we're going to go ahead and address strength and resistance exercise throughout the different joints of the body, coming from the cervical region, thoracic lumbar, shoulders, elbows, wrist, fingers, hip, knees, ankles, and the toes. We're going to address all those joints today with some exercise and resistance that we can go ahead and provide to our patients. Obviously, there's a variety of exercises. Here's a personal few that I've selected, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate within this video. So for exercises, there's three types of contraction types that we can go ahead and address. There's going to be the isometric, where we're in a stuck position. We can't move the muscle. However, we're still engaging it, trying to get into that shortened position like a bicep. Let's say we're just going ahead and have it stuck right there. Isometric, can't move because there's a force stopping it, but we're still shortening that bicep. Next one is going to be isotonic, where we're using some sort of weight. That could be a dumbbell just like this. It could be a kettlebell. It could be a barbell, some sort of weight that stays the same weight throughout the movement. Another form of isotonic is going to be dynamic, where it's something like a resistance band, where, hey, there's this resistance right here, kind of light, but the longer we get, the harder it gets to go ahead and pull. And then the shorter it gets, the easier it is to go ahead and control, because it's changing into concentric and eccentric weight and resistance, dynamic isotonic versus constant isotonic. And the last one that we are not going to go ahead and be utilizing in this video because it's too specialized, equipment's expensive, and we're too limited on equipment and we don't have it, is going to be isokinetic. That's where we're utilizing a constant speed. We don't have that in our lab. Most gyms don't have it. It's a very, very specialized piece of equipment that's hard to come by and get, that only specific clinics have. Unfortunately, we just can't show it in this video. But it is something to keep in mind that it is a type of exercise for a contraction type. For the first exercise, we're gonna go ahead and address the cervical, our neck. This is gonna be the exercise for a upper cervical flexion, isometric, 2 hands. That's its name, long, difficult name. Don't worry, easy to explain. Muscles addressed are gonna be our cervical flexors. So that's gonna be including our SCM, anterior scalene, longus capitis, longus coli. Those are to name a few of our cervical neck flexors that are involved with neck flexion, just like this. Its contraction type is going to be isometric, so we're going to go ahead and have resistance that's not going to allow us to go into full neck flexion, which are going to be our hands. Its position is going to be closed chain, because the hands are stationary, being held underneath our chin, to allow for that isometric contraction going on in our flexors, and it is weight bearing. How much do the hands play a role in getting exercise? Not so much. They're really just playing a role for our stability of our neck, because it's a neck exercise that we're primarily targeting neck muscles. Its form of resistance is a self-created resistance. We're pressing ourselves into our own fist to go ahead and create that isometric hold on our neck flexors. And its range of movement is a short arc, because we're not going to the full range of motion of neck flexion. We're being stopped very shy of the full range of motion. We're addressing a small little bit just right here, isometric hold. That's all it is. So let's go ahead and demonstrate it. The cervical exercise, the upper cervical flexion isometric with 2 hands. What we're gonna go ahead and do is have our hands balled up in a fist, just like that. We'll tuck them underneath our chin, and we can go ahead and hold that for 5 seconds, trying to press down as much as we can into our fist, with our chin going downwards to create that cervical flexion. I'll go ahead and hold it for 5 seconds, count it as 1 rep, relax, and then you go another 5 seconds for the 2nd rep, so on and so forth for 10 reps. Let's go ahead and begin. 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. You can see I'm just tucking my neck into my fist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. And last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. And that's an isometric hold and exercise variation for the cervical region, our necks. Obviously, multiple different types of exercise that exist, but there is one that we can go ahead and address for isometric holds with neck flexors. All right, so now we're on the floor. Next exercise we're gonna go ahead and address is the thoracolumbar region with the sit-up or abdominal crunch for a specific name. This is gonna go ahead and address our muscles of the rectus abdominis, the things that we know as our six-pack, the external obliques that allow us to go ahead and rotate. However, it's gonna be bilateral to create that flexion together, along with stabilizing us from not rotating. And then also, if we go ahead and add in a stomach vacuum where we try to picture our belly button, try and go to our back, where it's like blue blow out and create that stomach vacuum, like to make that stomach flat. That's actually gonna target the transverse abdominis. This is an exercise I go ahead and do with that breathe out motion to address the transverse abdominis, along with the rectus abdominis by creating flexion and external obliques. Its contraction type is going to be isotonic because with it, we're going to go ahead and use a consistent weight. Right now, we're just going to go ahead and use a 10-pound dumbbell from our adjustable dumbbell set. You could always use something else. You could use heavier dumbbells. You could use kettlebells. You can go ahead and use medicine balls. Some sort of form of weight, always can add it. Or you can have no weight and just do body weight. But for this example, we want something isotonic. Let's go ahead and use a free weight. Its position, it is mixed because while our upper extremities, our hands are free, open chain style, because we're just going to go ahead and grasp it up in the air. Our lower extremities, our legs, they're going to be fixed to the floor as much as we can. Sometimes we have some momentum sway going, but we'll try to keep them planted to the floor as much as possible. Its form of resistance, once again, free weight, dumbbells. You can use medicine balls, you can use your dog, some sort of weight. Go ahead and add that, or do no weight. And its range of movement is going to be the full arc because we're going to go ahead and be from neutral. We're going to be here in neutral, and I'm going to bang my head, so I'm going to move my camera in a little bit. We'll be here in neutral extension and flexion of the thoracolumbar, but we're going to go ahead and come up all the way that we can to go ahead and be at the thoracolumbar flexion range of motion, and then come back down to neutral. That's gonna be the full arc. So let's go ahead and show you guys 10 reps. Once I can adjust myself. So let's go ahead and show you guys 10 reps. Again, isotonic. Full range of motion. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you hear me exhaling out right before I go up for the rep, that's because I'm trying to empty out my stomach. Technically not my stomach, my lungs, but getting the diaphragm to go ahead and push up so I can create that stomach vacuum, making the stomach flat, going to engage the transverse abdominis while also working the rectus abdominis. I think that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, a little slow. Just got done eating some chicken. So with the sit-ups and the abdominal crunch with our 10-pound dumbbell, that's gone ahead and addressed the thoracolumbar region doing flexion. All right, so for this exercise with the shoulders, what we're gonna go ahead is hit shoulder abduction in the short arc. We're not doing the full range of motion of 180. We're just gonna go ahead up to 90 degrees of shoulder abduction. This is addressing the muscles of the deltoids. This is a dynamic exercise where the therapist is gonna go ahead and add the resistance that gradually changes in the concentric phase, and then I'll just go ahead and relax in the eccentric phase. This is open chained. There is weight bearing going to it because of my arms being pushed down with weight. And like I said, with the form of resistance, this is manual because of the therapist clinician adding the resistance on my elbows while I'm trying to go up into shoulder abduction. So here we go. 10 reps of it. And then we'll go. It's 1 rep. 2 reps. 3 reps. You can make contact.
Sorry.
Okay. 4 reps. 5 reps. 6 reps. 7. 8. 9. And last one. 10. 10 reps. Shoulders.
Alright, last exercise we got is the tricep extension with a rope attachment on the cable system. Muscles we're addressing in this one is going to be the triceps brachii. It's a isotonic contraction type. Position is open chain weight bearing. Form resistance is we're using the cable machine at the gym. And then it's full range of motion with a full arc because we're getting that full tricep extension. We're going to put a light weight that we can go ahead and get that full extension. We're not trying to struggle too much. Let's change that, do that for 10 reps. Hopefully that's 10 reps. And that's the triceps extension exercise.
Alright, so the next exercise we're going to go ahead and address is going to be our wrist. What we're going to go ahead and do is a wrist curl with a 10-pound weight. I'm just going to go ahead and do that motion so we can go ahead and work out on the wrist flexors of our wrist. That's how the muscles addressed. We got the flexor digitorum addressed. So with the muscles addressed for the flexors of the wrist, we're going to go ahead and be targeting the flexor carpi ulnaris, flexor carpi radialis, even to an extent the flexor digitorum because it's in charge of flexion of the wrist as well. But we have a specific exercise to target those flexor digitorums with our fingers. But let's go ahead and knock out the wrist first. Its contraction type is isotonic, open chain because my hand is free, not fixed to the surface. Form of resistance is coming from our 10-pound dumbbell once again. Honestly, you're probably going to be using a dumbbell in this situation. I mean, you could also use a kettlebell if you would like because it has a handle. Medicine ball, sure, to extent if you want to go ahead and do that, but best convenience right here, dumbbell, kettlebell, something with a handle. And its range of movement is going to be the full arc because we are here in extension and we're going to curl it all the way into flexion of the wrist as much as we can. Full arc. So let's go ahead and do 10 reps. Hopefully this isn't too heavy for me. And let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I find myself deviating on her side a lot more. 7, I lose track. 8, 9, and at the end, 10. Perfect, just like that. And the reason I do this at kind of the side of a bench like this, you could do it at the edge of a table, edge of a couch right here if you wanted to. Something that has an edge is because it will go ahead and allow my wrist to go ahead and drop into extension and curl that back to flexion, back and forth, rather than it just being stagnant right here neutrally, and I can only hit that small range of motion over here for wrist flexion. I can hit a little bit of wrist extension too in eccentric. However, how much is it really addressing? It's more in the wrist flexion. Next, let's go ahead and address the muscles in our fingers. These are going to be utilizing this hand grip squeeze mechanical device. Nice little specialty that I bought off Amazon, so I can go ahead and work my finger and gripping and all that with a resistive weight that is dynamic. Let's go ahead and just summarize that stuff real quick. Obviously, like I said, exercise is coming from the hand grip squeeze. Muscles addressed that we're doing this exercise are going to be the lumbricals that are in charge of flexion and extension. Flexor digitorum superficialis, which is going to be specifically for flexion of the fingers, and to an extent the extensor digitorum if we go ahead and control the eccentric control going into extension. Its contraction type is dynamic because even though it does show here a 10 to 130 pounds of resistance, this spring changes in length, so it actually gets harder the more we pull and easier the further out we are. Dynamic. Form of resistance is mechanical. Its position is open chain because my hands are free, not fixed to the floor or an immovable object. And its range of movement is short arc because if we wanted the full arc, we'd actually have to go into active insufficiency of the flexors for the flexor digitorum superficialis. However, it's just not going to be able to be optimal for this exercise. So it's going to be a short arc because we're only just going to be squeezing. So let's go ahead and knock out 10 reps right here of just hand squeezes. And we're also going to control the eccentric where it's going to go nice and slow over there, okay? So we'll go ahead and begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and one more, 10. There we go. Fingers high again from the floor. We're going to go ahead and address the hips utilizing glute bridge with resistance bands. Got 3 different types for different resistance. We got a light, medium, heavy, poundage wise. I don't really know. It's dynamic. It gets heavier and harder the thicker the band we go. Obviously, like I said, with the exercise, it's going to be a glute bridge with a resistance band. Muscle address is going to be our gluteus maximus, our butt. It's going to go ahead and be in charge of hip extension along with external rotation, which we're going to go ahead and emphasize and demonstrate with the resistance bands. Its contraction type is dynamic thanks to the resistance bands. I like to grab these a lot right now. Don't know why. And grab it one more time. With it being dynamic is because the resistance of the resistance bands is going to go ahead and change and get much harder once we are trying to open up into external rotation and get easier once we go ahead back into internal rotation and relax down. Its position is a weight-bearing closed chain exercise, and form of resistance is coming from the resistance bands. I'm saying that word a lot. And its range of motion is going to be in the full arc because we're over here in as much hip flexion as we can, about the 120, and we're going to go ahead and come back straight up to full extension along with the external rotation to go ahead and address the gluteus maximus muscle. I'm going to go ahead and put on a resistance band and show that demonstration to you guys for 10 reps. All right. So I'm going to set up myself so I can go ahead and get some hip flexion going. Yes. Okay, just like that. That's going to be good. So I'll be here where I can have some hip flexion going on when I go ahead and relax, but I'm still on the platform, my bench, to go ahead and support my back that I can go ahead and rotate on, just like that. And then let's go ahead and hit 10 reps of the glute bridge with a resistance band. So it's going to be hip extension along with external rotation at the same time. So let's begin that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Glute bridge with resistance bands. Woo! Next exercise we got to address the knee joint is going to be the squat, which actually addresses a lot. It could address our hips, it can address our knees, it can even address our ankles. However, I just wanted to split it up where we have something specific for the hip, something specific for the knee, and something specific for the ankle. In this sense, how it's going to hit the knee joint is when we're in the bottom range of the position, we go ahead and stand up. That's going to give us knee extension. So let's talk about it. Obviously, exercise, like I said, is going to be the squat. In the goblet variation, what I'm using is the dumbbell to allow for me to do that goblet variation. The muscle addressed by the squat is going to be the quadriceps, so that's going to be vastus medius, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius, and the rectus femoris for that knee extension. Let's see. Its contraction type is going to be isotonic because we're utilizing the same weight over here. Position is a weight-bearing closed chain because our distal extremities of our lower extremities are fixed to the floor. Form of resistance is coming from this free weight, our dumbbell, again allowing us for the goblet variation. And the range of movement is going to be the full arc because we're achieving full range of motion of knee extension going to 0. So let's go ahead and address this goblet variation. Hold it up to my chest. All wide stance. Feet a little bit past shoulder width. And then my knees are going to follow my toes. And I'm going to go ahead and stand straight up. So let's do this for 10 reps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's drop that weight. I don't want to break that hard floor towel. And that is our knee exercise utilizing the squat for quadricep and knee extension. Next exercise, we're going to go ahead and address our ankle joints. This is going to be the calf raise exercise using a free weight once again. We could be utilizing a dumbbell, we could be utilizing a machine, we can utilize barbells, something to go ahead and give us this calf raise motion of going to plantar flexion. The muscle address is going to be based on the variation that we do. So if we're in full knee extension just like this, and we go ahead and plantar flex our foot to do the calf raise, it's going to target this bigger, more superficial muscle, the gastrocnemius. But if we go ahead and add some knee flexion and we plantar flex, it's going to target the deeper muscle for plantar flexion, the soleus. Today we're going to go ahead and do the gastrocnemius targeting one with the knees extended. Its contraction type, isotonic, using that free weight. Its position is a weight-bearing closed chain because our distal extremity for our lower extremities are once again fixed to the floor. Its form of resistance, free weight. You can utilize a dumbbell, you can utilize a barbell, you can utilize a machine, whatever is offering to our availability for us to go ahead into that plantar flexion. And its range of movement is going to be the full arc because we are in neutral, and we're going to go ahead and plantar flex as much we can off the ball of our foot in this range of motion. So let's go ahead, pick this up, hold it like a goblet squat, and then do 10 reps. All right, let's go. 1, 2, let's go ahead and show the counts. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, I think. 10 for sure. All right, cool. Ankles using gastrocnemius. Last one we're going to go ahead and address today, which is going to be a weird one, is for our foot and toes. This is a toe grasp exercise, so we can go ahead and work our flexor digitorum longus. So for our toes, they go ahead and curl in just like that for our fist. That muscle is going to be the flexor digitorum longus. This contraction type is going to be isotonic. Its position is a weight-bearing open chain because my distal extremity will go ahead and be coming back and forth from the ground while I lift the weight. Former resistance is going to be some sort of free weight. I'm not going to be utilizing this 40-pound dumbbell. I'm going to be utilizing this resistance band, but I'm not using the resistance band for its actual purpose of stretching. It's more of just an object to pick up. I could utilize a pen, I can utilize marbles, I could utilize this device for hand grasping, something that I can go ahead and grab onto when I do my flexor digitorum longus activation to get those toes to flex and curl, and hold something where my reps go back and forth. Its range of movement is going to be shorter because if I wanted to do the full arc, I'd have to be into plantar flexion along with flexion of the toes to get that full active insufficiency going. However, we're just going to go ahead and address it while we're in a neutral stance for our ankle and just grasping it with our toes to go ahead and move it around. So short arc range of movement. So let's go ahead and show that exercise to y'all. How it's going to be. It's going to be easier with my socks off, so I got more of a grasping skill with it. And then I'm just going to use this resistance bands and put it here for 10 reps back and forth. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think I lost grass, 9, 10, 11, just in case I missed one. It's functional, who knows, maybe if I like drop a sock and I just need to pick it up, look at that. I just use my foot and toss it in the trash just like that. I do it pretty often, honestly. So it's a functional training too. It's nice. Toe grasping, using flexor digitorum longus.